So the first thing you want to think about is starting from slightly behind the bar, no more than a foot, but starting slightly behind the bar as you jump up. So that's going to help you utilize a little bit of a swing, which is similar to what we do for a glide kip, or some people call it an upstart. But it's a relatively similar movement, so it's actually a bar muscle up is still a straight arm pulling movement, and the bar's fixed in place, unlike the rings, so you can't pull directly up because the bar will be in the way, so you have to pull yourself around the bar. So the most efficient way and easiest way to do that is by utilizing a small swing. So you don't want to utilize a huge swing because it's, well, one, you risk getting no reps because your feet will go too high, so it's an invalid rep in CrossFit. But two, it's just too slow. So practically, in a functional sense, in a workout, if you're doing lots of reps, if you utilize a big swing, the workout would take you a long time. And obviously in CrossFit, we're doing reps for time, or as many reps as we can in the time. So that's not the best way or the best approach to go. The second thing is, as I jump up, you'll notice that my feet start in front of my body. So I'm effectively in a hollow position. So by doing that, that starts to create momentum ready for me to pull myself into an arch. Okay, if I jump straight underneath the bar with a straight body, or jump straight into an arch, then you're going to struggle to start to get momentum for the bar muscle up. So then I move into an arch position, and this is arguably the most important part of the rep in some ways. So this is where you really develop momentum and power to get yourself above the bar. So this is dependent on a couple of things. One, your shoulder flexion mobility, and two, your thoracic extension. So if you can't open up your shoulders to a good angle, you're not going to be able to get into a good arch position, and that's not going to develop much power or momentum as you pull back to get above the bar. The second thing is, my feet and legs are tight together and they're straight. So you will develop the most power at your hips with straight legs, just for the simple reason that the lever's longer, so you can generate more force. Now, don't think about that too much because it's not the most important thing. Most of the power is generated through the shoulders in terms of opening and closing your shoulder angle. But obviously, the hips work as accessory, and so we should get that right as well. The other thing to consider about the arch is your body has a certain elasticity. So think about stretch reflex as an example. So your joints, your tendons, ligaments, your muscles have a certain elasticity. So they stretch effectively. And then when they reach the point, think about an elastic band, they reach the point where they stretch, and then it pings you back, which is why the arch position is important. Then the next step is to move back into a hollow position. So we're kicking the feet back in front. So we're leading up with the feet, not with the knees, again, because it creates more power at the hips. And then you're going to start pulling yourself around the bar. So you notice a couple of things. The main thing is that my arms are straight at this point. So if you bend your arms too early, you're going to pull yourself too close to the bar, and you're going to move directly upwards instead of around the bar, which again creates a problem because the bar is going to be in the way. So you need to initiate the pull with straight arms to pull yourself around the bar, and then once your chest or your shoulders get high enough into the bar, that's when you break or bend your arms in order to get your chest over the bar. Yeah, so it's not really a bent arm pulling movement. The strength comes from straight arm pulling. So once we've done that, the next stage effectively is just open up the hips. So I'm not firing the hips up excessively towards the bar uncontrollably, but what I'm doing is opening the hips back up. So I move back into a hollow position, if you remember, and I start pulling around the bar. And then I'm going to open my hips up and start pulling my hips in towards the bar. And that's effectively going to let my shoulders ride over the bar and get me on top into a support position. The other thing it does as well is, as you start to fire up or open up your hips, your feet, as long as your legs stay straight, are naturally going to start to move back down again. And again, think about a rotation around the bar. That means your chest is going to be able to get higher, and you're going to sit into a good support position. So we've gone into the arch, and then we've pulled back into a hollow. So I'm scooping my feet up and starting to pull myself around the bar with straight arms. At this point, this is when you need to start actively using your scapula. So they're working before, but you don't need to think about it too much in the kip. This is when you need to start actively thinking about it. So at this point, I'm depressing my scapula hard, so I'm putting my shoulders down to help create momentum up above the bar. Then as I start to break in and bend my arms into the bar to get over, I'm then going to start to retract my scapula to pull my chest up above the bar, and then also actually elevate my scapula as well. So lift my shoulders up, and that's going to help me sit over the bar into a good position. Another thing you'll notice is my grip. So a couple of things. One, you'll notice that as I transition down into another rep, my grip is relatively loose. Yeah, so I actually use that as the re-grip. And you don't want to be gripping the bar really hard as you transition down, because your hands are going to effectively rotate around the bar. And the harder you're gripping, one, the more grip endurance you're going to waste or use up, so to speak, in terms of using more energy, more muscular fatigue. But it's also going to be much harder on your hands. So as you grip too hard, the bar is going to rub more on your hands, and you're going to start to get more rips and tears. So you want to stay relatively loose on the way down, and then find tension again at the bottom. The other thing you'll notice is, as I start the reps, my thumbs are over the bar. I prefer doing it this way, just because, again, it keeps my grip a bit looser, so it's better for my hands. And I also find it easier to get over the bar quicker doing it this way. But it's not necessarily the right way. It's kind of half preference. And for beginners, I would recommend just wrapping the thumbs underneath the bar anyway, just until you're getting used to the rep, because it's a bit safer. The other thing you notice is, as I pull round on top of the bar, I actually switch my thumbs round. So at that point, I move my thumbs underneath and around the bar. That's just to help me stabilize at the top. So if your thumbs are over the top of the bar and your chest flies over the bar a little bit too quickly, or your grip's tight, or whatever reason, you're kind of prone to potentially slipping, and that's when you'll fall and potentially injure yourself over the bar. So again, it's just to help stabilize at the top. If you struggle with that and you can't get it, then I would recommend just putting your thumbs around the bar the whole time. Okay, so I think that's about it in terms of this video. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, then of course just post them, and I'll try and get back to everyone.